Wuthering Ways is suffering from a unique self-inflicted issue that I believe to be true. But before we get into that, these are all my own opinions on how I feel about the game. I don't want anybody to think I'm demanding changes. It's just stuff I would like to see changed or added in the future. But this issue is a lack of substantial content in the game right now. It was really apparent in 2.5 and now it's super apparent in 2.6, and it's looking like it's going to be the same in 2.7. And what's causing this is a overabundance of leisure events. Now in 2.4 it wasn't like this. We had Peaks of Prestige, Banners Never Fall, Virtual Crisis. It was probably one of the best patches Wuthering Waves has ever received. Story was fantastic, the events were fun, the area was awesome. That just all combined into a fantastic patch. So through the duration of this video, I'm going to give some examples and some ways that they could alleviate this issue. But don't take this as I want the leisure events to be removed. I actually do somewhat enjoy the leisure events. Now, I hated the 2.5 one, but I really liked the 2.6 one. I did like the tower defense. So in this video, we're going to talk about the type of events we've been getting, and then why these events are just not enough to keep people from coming in and playing the game more. So let's get into it. So for the last two patches, because 2.6 is ending soon, all we've gotten are leisure events. Now, the leisure event in 2.5 sucked. I hated every second of it. I don't think I got all the rewards. I think I only got most, like 90% of the asteroids, and then I never touched it again. It was just so unfun to play, and I just dreaded having to do it because of the amount of asteroids it gave. Having your rewards gated behind shitty RNG and just a overall boring event is just terrible design, and because of that, there really wasn't much to do in 2.5, and I'll be honest, the story quest was the only redeeming factor about 2.5. When I reviewed it, I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I said in my video that if it wasn't for the 10 out of 10 story, that update would have been a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, because it was so boring, because there just wasn't anything to do. The area was nice, but tiny. You explored it in like 30 minutes. But 2.6 was a lot better in the event and content regards, because the TOA reset is actually a lot of fun. But with TOA, you're doing it pretty much once a month, unless you're fucking uploading videos or doing, I don't know, doing whatever you want with your fucking hyper built teams and S6 characters, just repeatedly doing it. But for 90% of the player base, you do it once, or if you don't do it at all. I mean, wuwa is, I'll be honest, bad. It's not really, haven't been good. I mean, the last patch or the last reset was decent, but it was still a pain in the ass with how much HP these echoes have. But the tower defense event was a lot of fun, I won't lie, but I have not done it more than a couple times. The highest wave I got to was 29, because it really just was the same thing over and over again. You get all the rewards, and really, what's the reason doing? I mean, you get the emblem, or I think you get an emblem for getting the 99 or something like that, but the event was fun to play for the first once or twice you do it, and then you're just really stuck with nothing. But 2.6 did have a lot more events than 2.5 did, especially with the second coming of Solaris. That was really fun to do, because it was quite hilarious to do, seeing all the bugs and glitches that they purposely introduced into that event. But it still suffers from the same issue, but in a lesser extent in 2.5. It's just a lack of substantial content. It's mainly an endgame issue, but now it's also turning into just a lack of combat events, because combat events do add a lot to the game. They add a lot of replayability, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But now it seems like 2.7 is going to be the same exact thing, because we're getting I'm going to call it a leisure event, because I don't consider it a combat event. A combat event is an event where you bring in your build team or a trial set of or trial team to use on a boss that has difficulty modifiers on it or no difficulty modifiers on it, depending on what they give, like Virtual Crisis. That is an actual combat event. Banners Never Fall is a combat event. That top-down ARPG event is not a combat event. It's a leisure event, if I'm being honest. And it really seems like that is the only big event that's going to be in it. There's probably just going to be random puzzle events for small ones that give like 400 asteroids, but regardless, it seems like 2.4 is going to be very dry, especially if you try to do all the story in one sitting, because what are you supposed to do for what, 40 days? Is it how long the patch is going to be? It does seem like 2.7 is going to suffer from the same issue that 2.6 and 2.5 it suffered from, which is lack of substantial content. But there are ways to fix this, and they're super simple ways to fix it. All they really have to do is copy and paste Virtual Crisis and add the new bosses that they made into it. And it doesn't even have to be 1200 asteroids. It could be 600, it could be 500, it could be 400. And it's just a massive improvement. Now you might say, oh, but they don't need to. There's enough events for each patch. But no, there really isn't. 2.4, I'm going to keep glazing 2.4, but 2.4 had Virtual Crisis, Peaks of Prestige, and Banners Never Fall. Peaks of Prestige was a leisure event. It was not a combat event, and it was fantastic, because if you didn't like Peaks of Prestige, guess what you could go do? Banners Never Fall, and Banners Never Fall was fantastic. And if you didn't like Banners Never Fall, guess what you could go do? Virtual Crisis. There was just so many options to do during that patch. It's just ridiculous that they're not giving the same options in 2.5 and 2.6, and now it's looking to be 2.7. It's just tiring to not have anything to do when you do the story and the main event in a week. I mean, it's hard to spread these things out when the game... Wuthering Waves is just so much fun because the combat is so good. It's just, why do they not want to utilize it for each patch and make a good, or just copy and paste a previous combat event? I heard about the tactical hologram co-op thing, and why don't they just add that for the people that never experienced it? That would be a fantastic solution. Just copy and paste it and update the bosses, have it give 600 asteroid, and boom, people would stop complaining. They could do that with Virtual Crisis and people would stop complaining. It's just, it doesn't seem like they want to do that, or maybe they haven't received enough feedback in that regard, because I've been wondering why they haven't added this, and this might be a reason why. Maybe enough people were unable to complete Virtual Crisis and Banners Never Fall that they put in their survey that the combat events are too hard. But even if for some people that these events are too hard, that does not mean they do not have to add them, because if the rewards are 600, you're not forced to do it. Hell, when they do these combat events, they don't add the asteroids behind the challenging parts. They just add the extra rewards. So people who don't have the time to get good at this game, or don't want to get good at this game, can still get the full asteroid rewards and not be screwed over by difficulty that they can't complete or don't want to complete to get the rewards that people want, which is the asteroids. I'm going to give some reasons why I believe combat events matter so much. They are good to splice up the leisure events that they have just been putting in each patch from 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7. Because, I'll be honest, these leisure events can be fun, but it does get quite boring and it makes me not want to play the game when that's all they do. Combat events really do splice up the stuff you can do in these patch cycles, because when the only thing you have available to you is a leisure event that most often will just suck ass, you really just don't have anything to do and you really can't play the game, because TOA just does not provide enough replayability outside of you being a streamer or a guy that prides his achievements on being able to clear certain floors with certain teammates in under a certain amount of times. So, and plus wuwa, as I said earlier, it's just not good. It rarely is good. The one time I really did like Wuwa was when Lupa was the featured character and they had that flame buff. That time, I actually really did enjoy Wuwa, and that was the only time I've actually enjoyed Wuwa. I feel like in order to combat this issue of a lack of substantial content, they need to turn TOA's reset into at least bi-weekly and keep adding combat events. As I said earlier, it doesn't have to be at 1200 asteroids. It doesn't even have to be 600. It could be 500, 400. It doesn't matter. It is something that will splice up the monotony of these current patch cycles. And don't take this as, Wuthering Waves, these patches are going to be ass because there's no combat events. It's ruining the game. It really isn't. It's an issue of just a lack of substantial content. You see, these stories have been fantastic, even in a filler patch, but it cannot make up for the lack of actual content. Leisure events, like I said, can be fun, but they need to be either swapped out every other patch with a combat event or have a combat event running alongside it, just like 2.4. I said this earlier, but 2.4, in my honest opinion, was the best patch in Wuthering Waves. The story was fantastic, Step the Mount was cool as fuck, the performance sucked ass, obviously, but Banners Never Fall was awesome. Virtual Crisis was awesome. And Peaks of Prestige was awesome. It had an event for everybody. And I do not understand the reason why they don't keep doing that patch cycle. Yes, I do see people saying, oh, it's because they're working on 3.0. But just making excuses because they can just copy and paste previous combat events and just refresh the rewards, add new bosses, and all that. It's just super simple to fix. I don't understand why they aren't doing it. My hope is enough people realize that it would be awesome to supplement combat events with these leisure events. They don't have to remove them because it's just, as I said, it's so simple. It's hard not to repeat myself because it's just simple points that could fix this, and I don't know why they don't do it. Because it's serious, they just don't have to add extended rewards. They just have to do some basic crates, 600, 500 asteroids, and just add the new bosses that they've put in the recent updates into it, and nobody would be complaining. Seriously, nobody would. I don't understand why. But overall, the biggest issue Wuthering Waves is suffering from is a lack of substantial content. These leisure events are not it, and I'm sad to say, because the 2.5 event sucked. I hated every second of that event, and well, the 2.6 leisure event was a lot better, but it's just not it. It doesn't have it to draw people back into playing this game every day. If they had a combat event, I feel like it would, because I'd be playing this game more. I only played once every couple of days, maybe once every 3 days, or whenever I stream, and now with 2.7, I'm gonna stream the story, obviously, the event once, and really I'll probably do a little bit of streams. I'll space them out like every 2 or 3, twice every week for Wuthering Waves, because what am I supposed to do? I have an alternate account, but I'm slowly catching up on that account when I stream, because when I stream I have to play on that account to have stuff to do. But it's just, these patch cycles need more content. It's either supplement it with old combat events, which would help it radically, but overall, the issue is no substantial content. These leisure events are not nailing it. They can just copy and paste old events into it, but we'll see. When the survey comes for 2.7, we need to make it known that we need more events in these patch cycles. Otherwise, they're going to go the route of just making boring patches that nobody's going to want to play except for the story. And Wuthering Waves, it has the best combat in any gacha game, and it's just a shame they're not utilizing it whatsoever. But let me know if you agreed with me in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you did. And well, I'm planning on making another video directly talking about the end game, because I am just disappointed with the how the end game is in Wuthering Waves. I feel like they could do better and probably have done better in the past, but thank you if you made it this far in the video. I greatly appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.